And I'm very pleased to welcome Petro Poroshenko, the former president of Ukraine from 2014 to 2019. Thank you so much for speaking to us again on DW. I'm thrilled that you could join us, and I just wanted to jump right in by getting your view on the situation in Bakhmut. Do you think it is the right decision for Ukraine to continue defending the city at all costs?
Thank you very much indeed for your invitation. And the right decision is a bad decision. We can do only based on the full information which we have, the commander-in-chief of Ukrainian armed forces and the president. But the Bakhmut is a symbol, and we have a fighting in Bakhmut for 9 months already. And I was in Bakhmut during this last year more than dozens times to speak, to support, to supply everything for our armed forces. And I can tell you that these symbolic steps definitely has a great importance. Another, everybody should understand that this is the way how we can captured the Russian offensive operation, which were planned and publicly declared in February and March. And the way how we stop Russian offensive operation, this is also very heroic.
But
why we need to do that?
Excuse me for interrupting. I have to ask, though, if Bakhmut is primarily a symbol, maybe you can help us understand what is going on behind the scenes in the Ukrainian government. We had reports that Ukraine was ready to withdraw. Then we had President Zelenskyy come out strong, saying they would instead reinforce Bakhmut. And he made a real point of highlighting that all of the military agreed that that was the right move. Do you see this as Zelenskyy overruling his top military brass and forcing them to hold on to Bakhmut?
I just want to attract attention that the main source of this information is a Russian narrative. And this is I consider that as a part of the Russian propaganda. And for being the Supreme Commander-in-Chief of Ukrainian Armed Forces for 5 years and being the president who created these armed forces, I can tell you that why we do that, because we need 1 month for training Ukrainian new brigade and for receiving, after Ramstein decision, the 1,000 armed personnel carrier and the NATO main battle tank. This is absolutely necessary, together with the ammunition, which we have a lack of ammunition also in Bakhmut, and we pay for that extremely enormous price. And all these things help us at the end of the March, beginning of the April, our offensive operation, which would be extremely important and extremely hopeful. And with that situation, Bakhmut is absolutely necessary.
Yeah, with that kind of support, do you think that Ukrainian forces would be able to actually hold on to Bakhmut, or is it just to buy time as long as possible against Russian advances?
You should understand that we have enough weapons to withstand with Putin, and we have absolutely not enough weapons for our offensive operation. And definitely, when I returned back, I was there about 1 week ago, and speaking with the soldiers, they definitely has a lack of ammunition. And this is the top priority for us. We definitely have such a factor like long-range missile, radio electronic warfare system. We definitely count on the Western weapons, and this is the key factor because we have lots of volunteers, but they can do that. We cannot do that without weapons. And with that situation, I really appreciate all our partners, including Germany, who already supply, and it is a vital factor for our victory. But please do it faster. Please understand that every single week for delay is a crucial factor for our offensive operation. And this
so
is
on the military
front,
the fast delivery of ammunition, you're saying, is key, including from partners like Germany. I do want to also take a step back, though, and talk about ways that we could actually bring an end to this war. And speaking of Germany, we have a recent poll here that says 53% of Germans say that there hasn't been enough diplomatic effort made to end this war. Do Do you see any room for a diplomatic approach given the current situation?
Definitely.
And
Even
what might
more,
that look like?
we even more, we have already do a very diplomatic negotiation with a very professional negotiator, the best in the world. And the name of this negotiator is Armed Forces of Ukraine. This is exactly Armed Forces of Ukraine with the assistance of the partners, threw them away from Kiev, the attack of the Kharkiv region and liberate that from the Russian troops, and do a very successful attack on Kherson. You see that this is effective, and this diplomatic language which Putin understands, this is not Russian or English or German. The best language is a language of strength. And this is the only language Putin understands, because Putin goes as far as we together allow him to go. So for the negotiation and for the peace deal, we have two main factors. Factor number one, and I'm very much happy to hear that from the Chancellor Scholz and President Biden in Washington, this is the territorial integrity of Ukraine. Putin should take all his troops from Ukrainian territory. And second factor of the peace and victory is the sustainable security situation on the continent. And everybody understands that you are not just assisting Ukraine, you invest in your own German, British, Italian, French security. And Ukraine pay now for the very enormous price. But we would be more than happy. You cannot find out any other nation in the world who wants peace more than we Ukrainian. But Putin must be stopped. And we need to de-Putinize Germany, de-Putinize Europe, de-Putinize the world.
De-Putinizing Europe and the world, does that mean that you don't think peace can be possible between Ukraine and Russia while Vladimir Putin is still in the Kremlin?
Key from the peace is not in Berlin, not in Brussels, not in Washington or in Kiev. The key from the peace is in the hands of Putin. And without territorial integrity of the Ukraine, peace is impossible. Another key factor, and I very much welcome the statement of the leader of the Christian Democrat in European Parliament, Mr. Weber, that the definitely important part of the security in Europe is Ukrainian future membership in NATO. There is not existing any other form of security guarantee than that, and we would be very much appreciate if Germany support strongly this idea.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today on DW News.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
The former Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko.